Asher was one of them. And we helped free him from that life sentence. Give him a hand. But let that sink in. Life for a plant. Many of these people needed treatment. They needed support. They needed an opportunity, and instead they got prison. So we fought back. We introduced legislation to reduce simple possession from a felony to a misdemeanor and reinvest these savings into rehabilitation. The legislature said no. The people said yes. And passed State Question 780 and 781. We introduced legislation to remove the governor from the parole process for nonviolent offenses because freedom should not depend on politics. The legislature said no. The people said yes. And passed State Question 710. Alongside my executive assistant, Gwen Fields, a formerly incarcerated woman herself, we crafted reentry policies that were rooted in redemption. Because justice is not punishment, justice is restoration. And when the legislature refused to hear my cannabis bills, beginning with Senate Bill 825 in 2007 and every 2 years after that, we didn't go home. We organized. We held the first marijuana rally ever at this Capitol on these exact same steps. Many of you here today were there then. If you were, raise your hand. Yeah, all of you. We held public hearings where patients got to tell their stories. People said it was radical. People said it was premature. People said it would never happen. But we knew something they didn't. The people were ready, even if the politicians were not. So we turned to initiative petitions, organizations formed like Green the Vote, and Coalition to End Prohibition. I even sponsored a petition written by attorney David Slane in connection with my history-making U.S. Senate run, where I became the first woman to win a U.S. Senate nomination and the first Black person to win a statewide nomination. Yeah. Thank you. You made that happen. Advocates mobilized, worked, and the people passed State Question 788. If you were in the group who worked hard on 78, raise your hand. Yeah. That's everybody again. When 788 passed, it wasn't just policy, it was proof. Proof that the people of Oklahoma are more compassionate than the system that governs them. Now let me speak personally, because policy is never just policy. Around that same time, while I was running for governor, my mother was fighting her final battle. And because medical cannabis became legal, she was able to transition free from the fog of opioids and free from unnecessary suffering. That's when this stopped being policy for me. And it became personal, and it became promise. Yes, my gubernatorial bid that same year was unsuccessful. Yes, I was a pro-medical cannabis Black woman asking the state to choose bold leadership. And some weren't ready. But what they could not stop was the movement. When systems adopt reforms but reject reformers, distortion follows. They took the policy but rejected the woman who birthed it. demanded access. Farmers, veterans, patients, small business owners. Cannabis stabilized Oklahoma's economy during the pandemic. It kept small businesses alive. It kept families afloat. And yet, we continue to hear efforts to roll it back. So we must ask, we must wonder, why? Because this reform shifted power to the people. And power does not yield easily. But hear me today, we are not here just to defend cannabis. We are here to defend freedom, to defend second chances, to defend science over stigma, and to defend patience over politics. We are here to defend mothers who deserve pain relief, not prison. We are here to honor our veterans who deserve access to their medical cards at public health rates. We are here to defend returning citizens who deserve opportunity, not eternal punishment. And we are here to remind everyone in this building, the people voted, the people chose compassion, and the people chose reform. And that choice deserves respect. So today, I implore you, don't just celebrate 788, protect it. Don't just defend access, expand it responsibly. Don't just criticize overregulation, organize intelligently. Hold elected officials accountable. Ask them to introduce constitutional protections for medical, adult, and industrial cannabis using attorney Slade's language. The language is there already. Just as easily as the governor can propose a constitutional amendment, any legislator can introduce a joint resolution calling for the constitutionalization of cannabis. And if they disappoint you, run the right people or run yourself. Testify at hearings. Educate policymakers. Tell your story. Because movements don't sustain themselves. People do. I stand not chasing a title, not seeking credit, but as someone who has lived the cost of being early, who carried the weight of being first, who has seen defeat and destiny in the same season. The arc of justice does not begin because it's comfortable. It ends because people pull it. And we have been pulling, from reducing felony possession to a misdemeanor, to expanding Medicaid, to reforming parole, to building diversion and reentry pathways, to legalizing medical cannabis. From birth to death, we have worked to build policy that honors human dignity, and we are not done. Since 2018, however, some of us got comfortable. We stopped voting, and that ends now. This rally must not just be about noise. It must be about direction and strategy, and it must be a coalition. In fact, do me a favor. Take out your phone, please. We'll put it in your mind. And text your name, email address, and the word info to 405-537-WEED. That's 405-537-9333. Text your name, your email address, and the word info, and we will send you information about voting, as well as strategies to guarantee not only your vote, but those of every voter around you, those of every voter in the campus community. Because those are the same voters whose signatures are needed to make up the 30,000 signatures needed to make the Sooner State Party a reality. Your vote matters. Here is a way God blessed me to receive in 2014 when I realized people are registered but they don't vote. Tuesday's Oklahoma City election was an example. People don't vote and they're registered. Here's a way to guarantee that they vote and help do other strategies that guarantee that this community votes. If this community votes, you can run Oklahoma. If everyone in the cannabis community would vote and get what we call me plus 2 equals 3, your mom, your dad, your sisters, your brothers, people in prison would have their mom, dad, everybody vote. We can control what happens to this policy in the future. I believe that. Do you believe that? Am I making this up? All right. The cannabis community is watching. We're organizing. We're informing voters. We're engaging in policy. And we're not going backwards. The plant is legal. Compassion is legal. Second chances are legal. And the people are powerful. In the words of the great abolitionists who I honor today with my shirt, Frederick A. Douglass, free the plant. Join me, free the plant. Free the plant. Thank you. Let's keep building. Let's keep pushing. Let's keep healing Oklahoma. Let's go together. Thank you.
For Senator Connie Johnson. All right, folks. So now we are here at a very pivotal moment in this state. And I'm glad that all of you that have come here today are going to be a part of that, because you've made the decision to be able to stand up and to have your voices heard. The next person that is going to be speaking to you today is Ezra Marshall. He's the communications director for the Sooner State Party, and he's going to say a few words to you at this time. So, Ezra.
Thanks, CJ. First, I want to start off by thanking all the news channels that came out to cover this event. Thank you all for covering this. This is a very important time in Oklahoma, especially with what's going on. Friends, neighbors, fellow Oklahomans, we often hear a lot of debates about policy in abstract terms, numbers, lines, data sheets. It doesn't represent what it really is, the people in this state getting the relief they need. Part of the reason we're here today is because of what medical cannabis has done for this state. Since 2018, it is estimated that over $750 million in taxes have been paid to the state from the cannabis industry. $750 million going into our schools, into our roads, and into helping the people every day in Oklahoma. That is life-changing amounts of money for some people. It might be small amounts here and there, but that overall, every day affects Oklahomans. Since the conception of this industry, there have been over 400,000 patients registered in the state of Oklahoma that have had medical cannabis be a relief for them. Be that a veteran seeking relief for his symptoms, a child with a family that has had pharmaceutical drugs fail them, or even just a patient with arthritis that wants to get through their day with dignity. What we are here to do is to stand in support of cannabis legally operating in our state. Not operating without regulation, but operating in a way that serves our community. This is about more than just the industry itself. It's about the other communities affected by this. The plumbers who plumb these warehouses, the retrofitters, even electricians, and even lawyers being affected by it. Our goal is always to stand with this industry, not just for the people that use it, but for those who are affected by it every single day. I ask that anyone here today, if you care about your fellow neighbor, your fellow Oklahoman, that you stand with us in support of medical cannabis. Right now, this matter was voted on in 2018 with a 57% pass. In a state as politically diverse as ours with as many questions, a 57% majority is a rarity and an absolute abnormality to see. To push that back is to question whether or not the state properly followed its process and to put doubt in our judicial system. That cannot be how we do this. We have to listen to the voice of Oklahomans, and we have to listen when they speak up for what they want medically or even recreationally. I ask that all of you here today stand with us, not to stand with cannabis, but to stand for the voice of Oklahoma. We are going to have several people speak to you today, owners, operators, patients. I ask that you listen to their words, not as somebody that's consuming, but as somebody that is trying to make a lifestyle for themselves. First, I want to bring up someone that I'm sure many of you know, but I'm sure there's a big piece of us here. John Fraser, better known as Old School, going to talk to you about the importance of medical cannabis in our state. John?
Right on, brother.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Good afternoon. It's great to see everybody here. I love it. Okay, now I am considered the first legal cannabis patient in Oklahoma, and I want to say thank you to Connie Johnson and the 57% of people that legalized cannabis in Oklahoma, because I am always holding this is cannabis right here. For 12 years, that's my story. For 12 years, I was a legal opiate addict. I would go to the doctor and get my prescription of 610 milligram hydrocodone, 4 Xanax, Seroquel, Klonopin, all that other stuff. And I was on that for 12 years. 12 years ago, I got sick of being sick. And I got a large amount of cannabis, and I got off all those drugs. And when I was going, yeah, right on, you bet. And when I was going to the doctor, they would try to give me a test all the time, and they would pop me for cannabis occasionally. I will tell you right now, I will take a drug test right now, and you will not find any hydrocodone, Xanax, Oxycontin, any of that in my system. But I will peg the meter on THC every day. I will tell you, cannabis did save my life because I did overdose on opiates several times. I appreciate you. When this first started, I was doing opiates. The first petition that came out, I was doing opiates, and it was a me movement. I wanted to smoke legal weed and do my opiates. I thought it was great. But I was getting signatures, and people would come up to me and they'd say, John, you know, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm a nurse, and I can't get signatures like you are, but I appreciate you doing it. And I say, that's when it changed from a me movement to a we movement. Right on, it is for us, it is for we. That's why I fight every day for every patient. That's why I say I represent the patients out there that cannot come up here and do this. They're in wheelchairs, they don't have cars, they can't get up here, they're working, all that. That's what I represent. All right. That's me for now. I love you. Right on.
Yeah.
Cannabis. Yeah. Oh, who's next? I'm you. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you as always. Thank you, folks. Now, we are going to open this up for several of our patients to come forward and speak their mind on why they feel that medical cannabis is as important in this state. If anyone would like to come forward, please do.
Hello, my name is Dayla. I am a mom to a teenage son. He has a lot of mental health and behavioral issues. It was very rough. We did everything we could, facilities, behavioral centers, rehabs to get his behavior under control. And we relied mainly on pharmaceutical psych meds to control his behavior and his episodes, which was very tough. I found that some things worked and other things that they gave us, which they always gave us a lot of medication, actually made some of our issues worse. And it wasn't helping. And I was trying to be understanding to what they considered normal treatment for mental health, the standard way. But as a mother to a child that has issues that he can't control, that he was just born with, I wanted to give him other options. And so we took under great didn't care. I just wanted what was best for my son. So we got him his card. We were able to reduce his psych meds, which was over my hand, 6, 7 psych meds sometimes a day, down to half. And he's able to, and that really makes me feel good, because I did not like the fact that I felt like I was over medicating my son with what the doctor said would help him, and it wasn't. So now he is doing amazing in school. We have had no more trouble. Behavior has gotten significantly better. Mental health has gotten 90% better. He is not running away. He's staying out of trouble. He's doing what he's supposed to. He's balanced. And it's all in my heart, I believe, because I gave him the option to have some other treatment that was more natural to him, and gave him the option once he got old enough. And it has worked out amazing. He is turning into such a wonderful, balanced young man, and I know his future is very bright. And I don't want that option of treatment that I had to really consider for him to go away. And I will fight for him to have that option, because it's significantly helped him, and it was placed on this earth by God, and it's natural. So I'm an advocate for it, and I'm standing here for my son, who I will always advocate for what's best for him. And let's keep the vote. 788, we voted yes, and that was for a reason, because it was going to help a lot of people. And so thank you for listening to my story, and I hope you'll have a good day, and thank you for having me here.
Alrighty, and our last speaker we're going to have today is our independent candidate for governor, a man who I've gotten to know very well over these past few weeks, who has inspired me in many ways, not only to fight for the people of Oklahoma, but to fight for myself and to fight and advocate for those around me. Robert, take it away.
Can you hear me?
There you go.
So listen, before we get started, I want to recognize Senator Johnson one more time, because she's an inspiration for me. You know, I've never been in politics. This is my first or not in state politics. This is my first go around, but she's a big inspiration for me. And she's doing a lot of the things that I'm doing. She stood up for what's right. Even when it wasn't popular, Miss Johnson stood up for what's right. And folks, that's what we've got to continue doing. And I want y'all to understand something. That's something that's rare in politics today. Courage like that is something that you just don't see a whole lot of. So one of the reasons I'm running for governor, I want to carry the torch for people like Senator Johnson. And I feel like we need to move forward with cannabis. We need to quit looking back. We need to quit saying, oh, well, let's criminalize it again. Let's take it. We need to quit. Even the President of the United States is pushing to make it Schedule 3. So, folks, that's one of the reasons I'm here today. I want to do some of the things Senator Johnson has done. I want to stand up for what's right, but I want to continue pushing forward. And you've heard some of the patients give their testimony, and they are proof that 788 was the right thing. When the politicians said no, you don't need to legalize it, the people said yes. And now that we've had enough time to actually see some of the results, we know the politicians were wrong and the people were right. The people of Oklahoma were right. The politicians underestimated the people of Oklahoma, but the people organized, and the people put it on the ballot, not the politicians. And I think that's something that we need to do. We need to educate the public about how marijuana got legalized in Oklahoma. That's something I'm finding as I go out and I travel around the state. A lot of people don't even realize that it was the people of Oklahoma that put it on the ballot, not the politicians. How many of y'all voted no? Raise your hand if you voted no on 788. You notice I'm raising my hand, right? I'm proof I am proof that you can change your mind. If you're open-minded enough and you actually listen to people. You know, I had my concerns like a lot of Oklahomans did because I had what's called reefer madness. It's an illusion. It's something that Hollywood planted in your brain. But I educated myself. I listened to the patients. I listened to the veterans. I listened to the families. Folks, that's the type of leadership that we need. All of us need to go out and continue educating the public about marijuana and the benefits of cannabis. One of my concerns is the DUI reform. I feel like we need to be pushing for legislation that prevents patients from becoming the victim of an automatic DUI. Because as it stands right now, if you have marijuana in your system and they draw your blood, then you're going to be convicted of a DUI. And we all know that marijuana stays in your system for, some say, 30 days or whatever. We need more science-based DUI standards. And now that cannabis is Schedule 3, right here in Oklahoma, again, we need to stop looking back and we need to organize and look forward. We need to push for research. Now that we have it Schedule 3, we need to start pushing for research. We need to ignore what these people up here are saying. They're for the corporations. They're not for the people. We need to push. Because, folks, the debate is over. Marijuana's legal, and the people decided, so let's all get together and let's push for better legislation. And let's just ignore what they're trying to shove down our throats, because it doesn't matter. The people have spoken. And I feel like Oklahoma is in the prime position to lead the nation through our universities, our medical centers. We can do dosage research, we can do impairment standards, long-term effects studies, but also we can create some jobs with marijuana. Now that it's Schedule 3, we can look into creating compacts with other states to export cannabis. And I feel like we need leadership that's not here to drag Oklahoma backwards. We need to move forward. If you're on Facebook, if you're on TikTok, get with me whenever we get done. I actually have a QR code you can scan. Follow me on Facebook. And I want to thank CJ and the rest of the crew with the Sooner State Party for what they're doing to restore our government back to the hands of the people. Thank you. I didn't know you could run that fast.
That makes two of us. All right. Folks, listen, we're going to close this out, but we want to thank everybody for coming out today and for discussing this issue, which is very important. I'm going to ask this as we begin to close this part of the day. Reach out to your legislators. Reach out to your state representatives and to your senators, and let them know that this is not something that you want. This was our first event, but it will not be our last. We believe that this industry benefits all Oklahomans, and we're ready to stand up for them. So we would encourage everyone to please check us out on Facebook, all of the social media platforms. We're going to be letting everyone know about our future plans when it comes to this issue, but most importantly, we are striving toward 31,000 signatures. We need 35 in order to get on the ballot. If you believe in what it is that we are standing for, if you believe